Hey friends, so good to see you. I'm very excited to be doing my first live stream. It's a nice sunny but snowy day. It's actually gorgeous outside. And today I'd love to talk to my fellow small business owners and do a little bit of stretching, share the events that I'm doing coming up, and just to generally be in community with anyone out there who may be struggling with starting a small business yourself. Um, I have a couple of events coming up right here on YouTube, so if you'd like to be notified about the events, please click subscribe. Please do a thumbs up. Wow, that's really bright in the sunlight. There we go. Thumbs up if you like content geared towards small business owners. I'm a small business owner myself, which is why I understand so many of the struggles. Um, I have been freelancing for about 3 years this time, and I'm really building up my business, sharing my expertise as someone who's worked in websites, marketing, and tech for over 10 years now. I've worked at a number of companies, agencies, and for local businesses. So I know how to help your business grow. But enough about me. Did I say hi? My name is Ray Katz, just so you know who I am. If you'd like to check out my work, please go to raykatz.com. And I'd love to hear from you if you're a prospective client. Happy to chat about your business and how I can help with very low pressure. I'm not a sales guy. I don't try and sell you something you don't need. If it's a good fit for us to work together, I'd love to chat. To start out today, it's a Monday. Let's just take a moment to take a deep breath and stretch, especially if you haven't moved around that much today. This is really important before we set our expectations for what work we want to do this week, what we want to focus on today, the rest of the afternoon, the rest of the week, the rest of the month. It's a short month in February, so we need to get things done efficiently. But before we do that, let's take a few deep breaths together. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Are you feeling a little more relaxed now? That's good. That's a good way to approach business. Small business can often feel really overwhelming, which is one of the things I wanted to address today. Before I get started talking about imposter syndrome, I also wanted to bring up I'm hosting a live event, how to build better websites for small business owners. And this condenses a lot of the experience that I have working with small businesses to get their websites up and running. So it includes everything that you need to be able to figure out what you want on your website, what pages you should have, what platform you should use, how do you set up web hosting, what colors should the page be. We'll talk about all of these things. It's kind of a general overview to set you up for success, whether you're building the website yourself or working with a web developer to build it for you. This event will be on February 20th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be live right here on YouTube, and if you subscribe to my channel or click notify me on that streaming event, you'll get a notification when we go live. And you'll be able to ask questions if you'd like. We can have some engagement, and that'll be great. I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome today because I think that so many small business owners suffer from it. I remember going to a training at a company that I used to work for, and we had someone talking to us about imposter syndrome. And this person asked, raise your hand if you've ever had imposter syndrome. And we looked around, and out of the 30 people sitting in this room, everyone had their hand raised. feeling like an imposter, feeling like you don't belong. This happens to so many people. Um, so it's so widespread, and especially women, minorities, trans people, anyone who wasn't raised as a cis male is way more likely to have these feelings of inferiority compared to other people. Or to feel bad about the fake it till you make it that a lot of people do, regardless of your gender or how people perceive you. The reason I want to share that it's so common, that it happens to so many people, is it can really help and be reassuring to know that you're not alone. If you're feeling imposter syndrome, if you're feeling like you're not good enough, you likely are good enough. You may not believe that, but your work is good. If you're seriously trying hard, you're doing your best, you're trying to be helpful, you probably are helpful. Imposter syndrome lies to us. It tells us that we're not good enough and we never will be good enough, so why do we even bother showing up? Well, that's simply not true. That's a voice in your head that's telling you something that's really kind of unhealthy. And you can listen to this voice and think, okay, what is this trying to tell me? This voice in my head is trying to tell me that I'm scared of something. It's trying to tell me that running a business is scary. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. The money is uncertain. The clients are uncertain. Can I even do this? And the answer is, if you want to, sure, you definitely can do this. Uh, this voice in your head is lying to you about not being able to do the work that you're already doing. Uh, it can help to reassure yourself that you do good work. You can check in with a friend, a colleague, a coworker, uh, ask for some positive feedback about what you've been working on. You can trade positive feedback with someone. This can be a really nice way to celebrate wins. I find that, doing this weekly is a great way to remind yourself, oh yeah, I did these things. This client was happy with my work, or, I was able to help out my friend this week and that felt good. Demonstrate to yourself that you do good things, even if they're small, especially if they're small. The other way you can remind yourself that your work is good enough is keep a file of positive feedback that people have shared with you. If a client sends you a nice message and they say, oh, I love this website, I love what you built for me, that feels really nice in the moment. And then you click out of the email and you forget about it immediately. But what if you took a screenshot of this email and put it into a document? And then when you're kind of feeling bad about your business, or maybe even just on a regular basis, once a month, once a week, open up the document and look at it and think, oh yeah, all these people said nice things about my work. That's nice to see again. You can do this with the testimonials page on your website. Hopefully you're collecting some client feedback and asking them for permission to post it on your website. So this can help for you too. If you go back and you review all the testimonials on your website and you're like, oh yeah, I did all those projects for these people. That's nice. Even if they're small projects, portfolio projects, school projects, that's all good. It demonstrates that you are good at what you do. So even if you're feeling some imposter syndrome, know that you are not alone. This happens to so many people, including me, definitely including me. And I want you to know that running a small business is really hard. It's a challenge for almost anyone, especially if it's your first small business. You're not sure about how to deal with some of the paperwork, some of the regulations, just how to have those interactions with clients for the first time. You're learning an incredible amount. You're doing such good work. Even if you feel like you're churning, that means that you're taking in so much information and doing good things with it. This is a genuinely hard thing to do. to run a small business. And I am so impressed by those of you who are running a small business. That's really amazing. It's hard to do your own work without being told to by a manager or by someone who tells you what to do. You're your own boss, and so you need to do the emotional work of both a manager and the person who does the work. And that's very hard. So I'm impressed. Even if you feel like you have this imposter syndrome, like you're not good enough to do the jobs of 10 different people, stop and think about that, right? If there's 10 different people who you're trying to do the jobs of, that's really hard. Uh, you need to stop and give yourself a little credit. If you manage to do a little piece of the jobs of 10 different people, that's pretty amazing. This is not even lowering your expectations. It's just realizing that the work you do is pretty good. That is the best way that I've found to fight imposter syndrome. I think that imposter syndrome can be kind of crushing, and it can lead to this freeze response. If we talk about trauma responses, there's fight, there's flight, run away, there's freeze, and then there's fawn, which is, tell someone what they want to hear as a way of self-defense. And I think imposter syndrome can often lead to this kind of freeze, like, I'm not good enough, so I shouldn't reach out to a person I need to email. Or I don't think my work is good enough, so I'm scared to email my clients about it. I'm worried. I think a good way to get past this is sort of put on another hat. Think about yourself as if you were your own manager. You'd want this person to send an update to the client, right? You don't want them to kind of just sit there and churn in their own insecurity. Maybe you'd offer some reassurance, like, this looks good, or this looks good enough. Let's send this over. Let's see what the client wants to do with it. And actually, I find that when I put together a website, sometimes I'm really worried about what the client is going to think when I send it to them. Maybe they won't like it. Maybe I got their design sense completely wrong. But the only way that I find that out is by sending it over to the client. And so that actually lets me know that a more experienced freelancer will go ahead and request more feedback from the client, if that makes sense. Someone might be worried that they don't have what it takes even to send something over, but a more experienced freelancer doesn't get over the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is still there, but that person will ask the client, like, hey, can you offer me a little more guidance on how to work on this project? This is my first draft at what we talked about, but do you have any suggestions for how I can improve it? This doesn't make you look bad. In fact, it makes you look responsible. You're asking them for more guidance as to how you can make a better product for them. So just be aware that imposter syndrome genuinely makes it hard to be able to do your job as a freelancer sometimes. And it may be hard to get over that intimidation factor of my work isn't good enough, so I don't want to pitch myself to new clients, or I don't want to try and sell my products or launch this marketing campaign or post that video or whatever else it is. But I think it's better to come back and say, I want this to be good enough. Is it good enough to post? I won't regret sending that email too much. Then try and go ahead and send it. And believe me, I know that that's easier said than done. I'm sitting on a bunch of emails that I would really love to send, and maybe I'll do that after this live event. But I want you to know that your work is good enough. If you're watching this, if you're thinking that, oh yeah, I have imposter syndrome, what do I do about it? It's hard to get over it entirely. You're always going to have that sense that, what if I'm not good enough? But one of the things that means is that you're pushing yourself. You're not just settling for the easiest job that you could find. You're not settling for letting someone just tell you what to do with all your time. You're you're making your own path. You're making your own career, which is really impressive. As small business owners, we figure out what work is important for us to do. And I love that, that's part of the reason why I run my own small business. But another big part of it is that's what makes it so scary. So we have to balance those two things. We have to figure out, how do we do good work without being too scared of the work that we're doing? If there's anyone who would like to comment or share what kind of work you do, have you ever had imposter syndrome? Raise your hand. Either if you're watching this live in the chat or in the comments afterwards. Just need a little sip of tea. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, actually, if you are a small business owner and you need a website, many people do, please sign up to be notified when we go live on February 20th at 3:30 Eastern Time, PM, in the afternoon. We're not doing this in the AM. And this will be a really nice class if you're thinking of building a website for your small business or updating your website. I'll share what I've learned from my time, 10 plus years working on websites for various businesses, how to get your website up and running pretty quickly, and so that you know what you're talking about if you decide to hire a web developer, and you can be part of the team that creates your small business website. We'll be running this class on February 20th and probably more iterations after that. So just go ahead and subscribe to the channel to get notified for these kind of classes, to really upgrade your small business in terms of marketing and outreach to customers. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're liking this content. I'm looking at the comments on the side here. Please go ahead and share a comment. Let me know what your concerns are as a small business owner. Maybe I can help you address them. Do you ever experience imposter syndrome? A lot of us do. I think the difference is most small business owners, I'm willing to bet, experience imposter syndrome probably on a daily basis, but some of us figure out methods and processes for working past imposter syndrome. It can be uncomfortable in the moment, but if you can figure out how to reassure yourself that you are doing good work, that you are enough, you're doing good. And once you have that comfort, it becomes easier to do the actual work that you signed up to do, which is the goal. The problem with anxiety is it just gets in your head. You just feel stressed and fearful, and you get that freeze response, and you may feel like you're running away from something, but you don't know what you're running away from. That's all the chemicals in your brain and your body telling you that you're doing something scary. And that's accurate. Small business is scary. It's unpredictable. It's very dependent on what other people think of you. But if you can work past that, if you can feel secure in yourself, even though other people may be saying things about you, like, I didn't like that thing that you did, or you know, even if you get some feedback, like they would like you to change, if you can be more secure in your core of, I think that I'm doing the right thing and I am okay with getting feedback and changing, uh, those things can coexist. You can be interested in feedback, okay with feedback, uh, but also really secure in you are doing good enough. You are doing so good that you are willing to accept changes to your work because it doesn't need to be perfect, because you're building whatever you're building for your client and not necessarily yourself. Well, this is my first time doing a live stream on YouTube. If you're watching this live or watching this after the fact, I hope you enjoy this. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and please subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying the stream. Once again, I'm Ray Katz. I have 10 years of experience doing websites, graphic design, marketing strategy, primarily for small businesses. Check out my work at raykatz.com. If you'd like to subscribe to my weekly newsletter with relatable true stories, check that out at amplifyrespect.com. And finally, for more videos about small business tips and also some traveling, outdoors, uh, what you do when you're not at your desk at a freelancer, uh, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks for joining. Bye.